This is Tunua Thrash Ntuk, President and CEO of the Center by Lendistry. Today's session is all about what it means to operate as a business in a post-COVID environment. For today's conversation, what I'll do is provide some background. I've got a short presentation that I'll walk through just to give you some thoughts about some trends that are happening in the marketplace and some things that, from a macro and micro level that small businesses may want to consider. And then we'll open it up for discussion so that there's an opportunity for us here to take a moment and to be able to respond to some things that I presented, as well as some things that you're hearing and seeing in the marketplace. I will also, it looks like, and Alondria, if you could help me with that, I'll be letting people in. So you'll hear the doorbell ringing from time to time for today's session. So for the next 40 minutes or so, we'll have a chance to go through this presentation, as well as just talk a bit about what's happening now in a post-COVID environment. In our work at the Center by Lendistry, we've been working with small businesses to really not only help them pivot during COVID, but now that we are moving into what we consider to be a post-COVID environment, we're also looking for strategies to ensure that diverse small businesses, women-owned small businesses, for example, and in particular here, Black-owned businesses are aware of the strategies that they can be taking a look at so that they can make sure that they continue to thrive and move in the economy. So what I'm going to offer you to start out are 4 consumer trends that we're seeing that you might want to watch. These trends come from conversations that have been had with Forbes coaches, as well as McKinsey Company. So these are boiled down first into 4 areas. The first is all about consumer spending. There were a number of folks who saved a lot of money during the pandemic, and at this time are really focused on using those dollars to start to spend. Some 51% of consumers are reporting a desire to splurge and really indulge in post-pandemic activities that they weren't able to do. Higher income millennials in particular are looking to outspend all other groups as they spend resources on apparel, footwear, travel, experiences, dining, concerts, and spectator events. One of the things that you'll see is that live activities and spectator events are the types of activities that are really top of consumer sort of priority list, because these are the things that they really missed out on in 2020 and beyond, and are looking to do more of that. As you know, and we'll talk a little bit about it as well, during the pandemic, there was also an emphasis on spending on home furnishings and home improvement activities. So we're watching now that, who are the consumers that are spending and what are they spending on? The second area is e-commerce has completely taken off. We know that nearly 20% there was a 20% increase in consumer spending just in January of 2020, just before the pandemic. And a number of the people who started spending online during the pandemic, what we're finding is that it's much more likely that they'll continue to spend online. So as we think about the future of small business and what we're doing, if you're selling just B2C in person, that is not going to be enough to really capture the consumer that is out there now. You've got to really focus on making sure that there is an alternative to a store visit for a consumer so that they have an opportunity to purchase online. And we'll talk a little bit about what we can do to create the kind of experience that'll encourage consumers to come back to your brand. The next area is really all about being at home. Many of us are at home right now. Some of us are in other places that just aren't traditional workplaces anymore. And one of the trends is that for those who are able to be at home, there is a possibility that this particular activity will remain, and the stickiness of being at home will be something that'll change, again, consumer patterns and what people decide to consume and how they consume resources. These, what they're calling eager homebodies, are still spending resources on dining, entertainment, and travel. There was also, from a real estate standpoint, an emphasis on determining how we create downtown experiences in cities and in communities that are outside of traditional downtown areas. So this shift is something that, for those, again, who are able to do so, are really looking to continue to do that kind of activity. And even if people are not at home, they've been very, very flexible about where they work, to the extent that that is the work that they can do in that way. And then the final area is the fourth area we are taking a look at, is really about brand loyalty. By and large, during the pandemic, because people were required to stay at home and they still needed certain goods and services, it was really, and at times those products were not, you were not able to get those products because of supply chain disruptions. As a result, a whopping 75% of consumers tried new products with new companies, and many of them are now open to, or many of those consumers are looking at ways to go ahead and be open to new brands. So that really creates, new market opportunities for businesses that are out there that are wondering if people will switch to their business type, given the loyalty that they might have had to some of those longstanding businesses. But again, because of COVID, people had to try new things, and more people have been willing now to try new things going forward, and new companies. So the next set of topics is really all about talking about how businesses can take advantage of the time. And just as a reminder, what these times have told us, times that have occurred like these in the history, what it has meant for small business. So one area that we just want to remind small businesses is that not only do we want to keep the businesses that are out there, but we also want to encourage a level of innovation and new businesses to take place. This particular topic is one where I read about the bubonic plague that took place in London years ago, when Isaac Newton was alive. And as a result of that plague, they sent the University of Cambridge students home. And while Isaac was at home, one of the things that he noticed was the apple falling from the tree, because now he's spending all this time in a different place, not learning quite in the same way, but just learning from looking outside and engaging in what's happening. As a result of that discovery, we now have the laws of gravity and understanding a whole host of science behind that. The point here is that the pandemic disrupted and changed the way that we interact with each other, conduct business, do things. And it's times like these that there is an acceleration of innovation. So we hope that small businesses really look and use this time to think about not what we've lost, but what are the new opportunities that can be adopted as a result of the pandemic. We encourage you to also look at consumer behavior and see what's going to stick and what's going to last beyond the pandemic. I talked a little bit about the fact that people are now, who have the option, are at home, and what that means in terms of what kinds of needs they'll have, an investment in the home, investment in resources and even food and other things in the home. In addition to that, we talked a bit about the fact that people are purchasing online and what that means. So really making sure that we're paying attention to what those consumer demands and behaviors are. A lot of consumers have also been focused on self-improvement investments. So they're spending money on, yoga and other things that help with physical health and other types of self-improvement. So these create really business opportunities for those that are out there. So two industries that I want to just kind of bring your attention to in terms of big macro trends that we're hoping that more diverse firms really start to think about and get involved in. One is related to the the greatest risk that is plaguing our society as a whole at the moment is certainly climate change and its impact on not only our economy, but across the world. One of the things that we believe that the recovery should really be about, and many of you may be aware that the federal government, including our president, has signed sweeping legislation around creating a green economy. And we do believe that the green economy and the opportunities there really represent the greatest chance to recover in a way that's green and is as green as possible. What that means is certainly a lot of some of the resources that have been placed in the national legislation call for projects that decrease our carbon footprint. So companies who are involved in electrification and greening activities will really do well during this time. So that is an area or an industry where if not only can you get involved in some of those contracts, but we find that consumers are also interested in companies who are thinking about their own carbon impact and doing good in the delivery of products. So both as a company, what can you do? Is there, are you part of an industry where you can help continue to electrify and green our economy? And to the extent that you're not, what are you doing as a business to make sure that as you produce your product, you're producing it in as green a way as possible, and you're telling that story so that consumers have a chance to connect with your brand in that way. Another trend that we're, that we're all seeing is really related to healthcare. Over the past, 24 plus months, with the focus on making sure that we have the vaccines and the research, and we have now, we're even telehealth is here. We don't think that that's going anywhere. What does that mean in terms of business opportunities for diverse owned businesses? There's a lot of research that the federal government has been funding around healthcare, around various vaccines and medicines accordingly. And so this bio-revolution could represent a new opportunity for diverse businesses to move into. As a result of the COVID pandemic, 180 billion was spent on research regarding vaccines and other tools. It's just in comparison, the Zika virus saw a $1.1 billion in spending. So when it came to COVID-19, we spent more than 180 times more at 180 billion in terms of research and scientific progress. So the last few slides are really all about the work that you can be doing inside your company to really connect around some of these trends. So social media is certainly a really important aspect of that activity. What we're finding is that those who are able to create organic stories on all the platforms where their potential customers are able to really grow the influence of their network. And not only that, it's also really critical to think about who influencers can be and could be as it relates to your product. Influencers really have a outsized impact on encouraging consumers to take a look at your brand. This year, the average consumer spent the average amount of time that a consumer spent on social media has risen to 13 hours and 35 minutes a day. That's actually an hour over where it was pre-pandemic. So we've got, folks who are scrolling, online on a regular basis, and they're looking to see what other people are doing, what influencers are doing, and being able to have your brand elevated in that way is really important. We admit that there are some consumers and some products that'll be a little bit harder to place online when it comes to really shopping online. So some consumers still prefer to go to the grocery store, even though there's options otherwise to be able to have your groceries delivered. So it's just really watching to see post-pandemic where consumers go in terms of the things that they want to be able to touch and feel, and then those things that can be delivered to them in an online platform that they're then able to connect with. This next concept is all about really, as a small business, beginning to adopt big business systems. And the term systems is here because what we found during the pandemic is that it's going to be really important for small businesses to be able to deliver their products to consumers as quickly as possible. And then to be able to understand the data of your small business, who is coming to you, how did they find you, and how did you convert that particular customer or browser into a customer, how much did they purchase, what was of most interest to them, what was the demographic profile. So really, as a small business, thinking about what can you do to make sure that you've got your systems in place that help you understand your consumer so that you can make the conversion faster and be able to gain as much as possible from that consumer, but also so that you can deliver the product faster and have systems in place that allow you to be able to pivot when necessary. That data on your customers also allows for a level of personalization. And this is really important. And the different part of being a small business is that you can personalize in a way that larger businesses are not able to do. Investing in your talent is really, really critical. One of the things that the pandemic shed light on is the fact that we can recruit talent potentially from anywhere across the country. So it's really important to think about, as you invest in the talent of your small business, that talent is not just talent that's within your area, your small geographic area, but to the extent that you can identify talent from across the country. Network, network, network. And this is all about growing together. One of the things that the pandemic hopefully shed light on was the importance of being networked with other small businesses so that you had a quick way of figuring out what was going on. So accessing information in ways that maybe it wasn't available in other networks, being able to share best practices around strategies for procuring customers, managing employees, managing supply chains. All of these things are really critical right now and helpful for businesses to be working together. The other thing is that there are a number of opportunities that look like they'll become available contract-wise, connecting with larger corporations, larger municipalities. A lot of times it's going to require that smaller businesses come together with one another to create a larger platform and ability to compete well for those opportunities. And agile product delivery. So it used to be that we could put our products on a shelf and people would, come out and purchase those accordingly. It's going to be really important that we find new and creative ways to get our products to customers. So not only is this selling it online, having curbside pickup, this also may mean that we're partnered with another business that's complementary and being able to offer our product as part of a package with their product. So really being very thoughtful about how we get our product to people, especially for those customers who are still wary about getting out into the marketplace. Inventory management, and we're coming up close to the end of the actual presentation. So inventory management, we saw during the pandemic that there were so many disruptions to sourcing key products. Right now, products are more expensive than ever. So the combination of being able to do all we can to purchase products in as bulk as we can now, while the inflation is taking place and products cost more, it's really important to be able to see if we can buy bigger in bulk at the moment to be able to manage some of that variability in the cost. And then really taking the time now, while maybe there isn't as big of a crisis, to really look at what different sourcing options would be for our products. That way, if and when there is a sourcing disruption, we have other options to access raw materials and other resources in order to continue to deliver a high quality product accordingly. And then the last area that I just wanted to mention is all about personal brand. A big part of going digital and going online is hopefully reaching a larger audience, but what differentiates you from another business will really be not only your business brand, but also your personal brand. I had a chance recently to be on a panel with a couple of Latinx business owners, both of which had the chance to tell their stories. Those stories are really what set them apart. It helps you understand why people have gone into business. It also creates a level of loyalty and connection with you as the business owner and your customer, which then hopefully generates continued and repeat sales with customers who are looking to reconnect genuinely with your brand and what you stand for, not only as a business, but in your personal brand and connection as well. And then finally, I just wanted to leave you with the thought that opportunities are ahead. The hope is that the pandemic is the worst that we will ever see in our generation, given its moment of uncertainty, the scariness, and the lack of sort of understanding about how we would move away and out of it. Now that we've reached that point, I do believe that there are opportunities ahead of us, and it's really all about being able to spot those trends, understand what's happening with key industries where there's a growth opportunity, taking advantage of that, and making sure that we have a digital presence, that it's authentic, and that it includes not only our business, but our personal experiences as well. So with that, I will stop sharing, and I'm happy to open it up for any reactions or discussions that the group might be interested in. All right, well, Alondria, I don't see any questions or anyone's raised their hand. Hi, Theodora. Oh, okay, I see Sharon. Yes.
Hi, Tunua. Just a question. We're here in Long Beach. We have LBCEI and other small businesses. When you think of a lot of the opportunities that are being mentioned today, are there some you could pinpoint or point us in a direction to say, I think this is a great avenue to be exploring?
Yeah, so I do think making sure more businesses have a digital presence. So not only, and it doesn't, really, if you're looking to find customers, that's going to be so critical right now. And it's both having, it used to be you have a good, a wonderful front door that's inviting from a physical standpoint. But this also applies to a digital standpoint. So a website that is Shopify'd and empowered to be able to sell products, a website that allows you to be able to collect information from your potential customers so that you can continue to communicate with them is going to be really critical. And that's just the website component. In addition to that, we want to encourage as many businesses as possible to create social media presence. So thinking about where your customers might be, are they on Twitter? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Snapchat? And so, for example, if your customers might be on Instagram, it's a great way to, daily, weekly, regularly snap photos of experiences with people that people are having with your product and being able to share that out. the impression and the ability to continue to stay in front of potential customers, I think will do well for some of those local small businesses accordingly. And then the network. Sharon, one of the things that I'm really proud about that LBCEI has done is the Restaurant Association Network in North Long Beach. And what's critical about that is that now restaurants are thinking and talking about sourcing products together. They're looking at solutions to similar issues. And that's really, really, critical so that people don't feel like they're alone, and coming together, you certainly hopefully can find even better solutions. Next, I see Theodora, you have your hand up?
Yeah. Hi, Tunua.
Hi.
Good to see you. Super congratulations on Lendistry. And just here seeing you all over town, talking everywhere, which is fantastic. I am super proud.
Thank you, Theodora.
I had a quick question. So for anybody who might not know what Lendistry does, particularly what your role or what your team does, because I know early on you mentioned that your team helps with business assistance for small businesses, among other things. So would you talk just briefly about what you guys can, what you guys are doing to help small businesses?
Excellent. Well, I'd be happy to take a few moments to share some of the fabulous work that we're doing at the Center by Lendistry. I just put our website link in the chat for your reference. So Theodora, and I think you know firsthand some of this work. We have been working directly with small businesses, both one-on-one and in cohort trainings to support their growth. I'm really pleased to say that if people stay in touch with us in 2022, I know I just talked a lot about, for example, digital literacy and the need for digital acceleration. We'll be hosting a statewide digital acceleration program that will accept just under 30 English-speaking businesses and 30 Spanish-speaking businesses. So there'll be a cohort in English and a cohort fully in Spanish, where we will go through and assist a small business with helping them create that digital platform, understand how to utilize that, and then have a system for maintaining that going forward. Not only will they get cohort training, they'll also receive one-on-one technical assistance to get those systems up and running. There will be elements of that program that'll be available to the general public if you're not selected as one of the businesses who will be part of the intensive accelerator program. So that's one example. We also are going to be launching a procurement training and initiative. This one also will accept a select number of businesses to participate in a cohort training program. At the end of that program, businesses will be submitting a live bid. This will bid on an opportunity that'll be available in the marketplace. And so we're really excited about being able to help a series of small businesses in Southern California grow their revenue by being able to access contracts from municipalities and larger corporations, possibly even the federal government. And we, are here to provide one-on-one technical assistance around access to capital. So if you are actively involved in being able to, in looking at securing capital, we can assist with your organization's financials, your projections, and other, balance sheet preparation and things like that, so that you're ready and able to access capital accordingly. Again, I'm Tunua Thrash Ntuk. I was really, really pleased to be able to share some thoughts and ideas around the trends that are elevated right now regarding small businesses, what's happening with consumers, and how do we take advantage of some of those trends going forward and in a post-pandemic world. Thank you all for joining.